Hey guys, this is Tracy Chen. I'm an immigration lawyer based in Australia, and today we're going to talk about adding your spouse or partner to your visa application. Now, we're not talking about partner visas where the partner is Australian citizen, or Australian permanent resident, and they want to sponsor their overseas partner. I'm talking about those who hold a temporary visa in Australia, for example, a student visa, maybe a 482 visa, or even a 485 visa, and the requirements surrounding that. So this is basically for those who hold temporary visas in Australia and they want to bring their family here. Now, first of all, before I get stuck into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with people who need it. If you have any videos that you want me to talk about, drop it in the comment below and I will review those to make videos about. If you want to get in contact with myself or one of our fabulous lawyers or migration agents, I put our contact link below, also our phone number and email if you need it. We provide assistance with all sorts of visa applications. We also conduct consultations. So the requirements do differ from time to time depending on the visa. And I'll talk about those in detail, but let's just talk about the general requirements to bring your spouse or your children. And they are four main aspects. So first of all, the financial requirements. Second of all, nature of your household. Third of all, nature of commitment. And fourth is the social aspects of your relationship. Second of all, nature of household. So whether you're living together now or not and you want to apply, you have to demonstrate how you guys operate as a household unit. I do understand that some people go back, they get married, and before they're able to even live together, one person has to come to Australia and, study. I mean, that's what my parents did essentially. But I guess, if you can't provide evidence of how you guys operate as a household unit or things you've purchased together for the household, for example, do provide a statement and say what it would look like if you guys actually had the opportunity to be together. This is a tricky one and a very sensitive one, but it's something that just really needs to be proven and it needs to be addressed in your application, I would say. Thirdly is nature of commitment. So they want to see that you as a couple are committed. So you would want to provide evidence to support that. So that would be, chat logs, phone logs, with the way that social media and chatting apps are going these days, it's pretty easy to pull those chat logs. So, how regular you guys talk, and they can see clearly through that how committed you guys are as a couple. Other things like, traveling together, things you have purchased together, even though they kind of fit under finance as well. Have a look at the things that you've done that that shows your partner that, you really appreciate them, you love them. That is kind of what you're looking for when you're finding documentation to prove the nature of commitment. The last one will be social aspects, and this one is actually super important. So they want to know that you as a couple are accepted socially within your circles. So photos of friends and family, but I am aware, and we do have some clients where they don't have this. Sometimes they don't go out, they don't like social settings, or even some, their families don't actually accept them as a couple. So they don't have these photos with friends and family. Now, if that is the case, do make sure that you provide a statement to confirm this. I mean, they will accept this if you can clearly explain the situation. So that's really helpful. So again, we do take these documents really seriously because in some instances, I do think it's like a mini partner visa. So these are the kind of things that we would definitely be looking for if we're applying for a subsequent entrant visa for your partner, whether it's a student visa or a temporary graduate visa in that sense. So I kind of use that as a guideline of what they would look for. Now, the most tricky part is actually getting the visa granted. Now, for a lot of visas, they could get rejected on this basis. The department basically don't believe that you're in a genuine relationship. And so therefore you don't satisfy the requirement to be a dependent on that visa. And so that's why I've talked about this today. Now, for the 485 visa, for some 482 visas, you would be aware if you hold that visa, there is no genuine temporary entrant requirement. Like when you apply for a student visa in Australia, you need to prove that you're a genuine temporary entrant. So you're coming to Australia to study and then you're going to go back. Now, for a 485, 482, these are just some of the temporary visas that I'm naming. This GTE requirement doesn't apply to it. It does apply to 482 visas under the short-term street. But anyway, that's for another video. The main one is the student visa. And I know that a lot of people are getting refusals for their spouse on the student visa, which completely doesn't make sense because if the partner already came to Australia on a student visa and they satisfy the requirements, so they satisfy the genuine temporary entrant requirements, how does their spouse not satisfy it? It's a little bit ridiculous. So that's what I'm trying to get at today, is that component, which is super tricky. If there's a genuine temporary entrant requirement attached to the visa you're applying for your dependent. And look, look, there may be others, but today I'm just going to focus on the student visa. So they will assess your partner's application on its own in regards to that. So when you came to Australia on a student visa, you had to prove that you're a genuine temporary entrant, and then you'll go back to your home country or wherever after you finish studying. And the spouse also has to prove that. So what documents are you going to provide for that? So for example, you would always treat it as your own student visa application. So you need to prove that you have strong ties back home. So what can that include? That includes family. If you have family back home, I know your spouse is here, so it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, if you have family back home, your parents, siblings, children, whatever, you can use that as part of the argument. Second of all would be finances and assets. So if you have money back home in your home bank account, definitely provide that. Like if you've got money in your bank account, that's super important. If you have personal assets, so if you have property, you have a car, if you have business, things like that, I would definitely be providing that documentation. Now, thirdly, your career and prospects back home. So it's very important for you to provide a statement as to what you'll be going back to and what you'll be looking forward to going back to once your partner's completed study. You as a dependent are just going to Australia to support your partner, which is totally allowed. That's why they have the visa in there. But it's just that they have the background requirements to show that this dependent also meets the genuine temporary entrant requirements. So for example, when your partner's finished studying, you'll both go back, you'll start a business, or you'll go back and you'll continue working this job, get a letter from the employer, things like that. So they're the kind of things that the department will be looking for if there's a genuine temporary entry requirement attached to the temporary visa that you're applying for. Now, what's also really important is how and when these visas are applied for. Now, I can't go into detail. Maybe I'll go into a detail in another video, but basically some visas, you can apply onshore, you can't apply offshore. Some visas you can apply onshore or offshore. Some visas you can't apply until your spouse in Australia has been granted the visa. There's all different requirements, and that's what we call Schedule 1. So Schedule 1 requirements. This gets a little bit tricky. So if you have a spouse in Australia and you're overseas and that is very important to get the right legal advice behind this about whether you can apply and when you can actually apply as well. Anyways, very basic video for you guys to understand how it kind of works if you want to bring your spouse to Australia if you're residing in Australia on a temporary visa. So I hope you guys found that video very helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with friends that need it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.